over in Oman have said that this is a wonderful project you guys are doing. And in our country, most of the grocers are expatriates. Omanis aren't into grocery business. Yeah. So can you train the Omanis into grocery business? So that's another leg which we have picked up. And the whole idea is to train the grocers, grocery owners, potential grocery owners, so that they could be doing the business in a much more modern way. From an assortment, from a store design, from a planogram, from attracting shoppers, from pricing, from inventory management, yeah, which we are obviously experts at, and that's what we want to pass it on to the grocers. Now let me tell you, this is not with a purely altruistic motive. Yeah? At the end of the day, we are very clear that we are reinventing our business model. Yeah? We are not doing it as a philanthropy. We want to do it as a way of life. At the end of the day, when I go and help the grocer, just think of the loyalty that he will have with the Unilever brands. It will be immense. Yeah? When I am talking about halving my environment footprints and reducing them, I am looking at the future of the society. If the society thrives, Unilever thrives. Yeah? So we are doing it in a manner that is sustainable, but we are not doing it as a charity. We are not doing it as a philanthropy. We are saying we need to do it because the society needs to. Yeah? So we are reinventing our business model altogether. Let me give you a very simple example. If you look at this part of the world, there is very little groundwater. Yeah? The groundwater here is one per capita, on a per capita basis, is 1% of the global average. But in this part of the world, we consume water twice the global average. Yeah? And our products consume a huge amount of water. Yeah? From washing hands, washing soaps, and whatever, washing clothes, what have you. So we have recently come out with a very clear focus on this part of the world, that how do we bring out a technology whereby you can wash your hands and kill germs in a much smaller time. Normally it takes 20 seconds of rubbing your hands to kill the germs. We have come out with Lifebuoy, which in 10 seconds can do the job. So just think of it. Not only it will be easier for moms to tell the kids to wash the hands and clean the hands, but we will be saving 50% water. Yeah? So that is the kind of focus now we are doing. We are redesigning products in a manner that we will be able to reduce our environment footprint.
You operate in the emerging markets, which is a very interesting space. How big is that market? Do you still feel you have a lot of headroom to grow?
Yeah. You know, if you were to pick up a few of the big global trends, one of the big global trends is what I call as the rebalancing of the world. Yeah? If you were to look at consumer spending, out of the total consumer spending today of $34 trillion, $12 trillion is in what we call as the developing and emerging market, the D&D world, outside of North America and Western Europe. Fast forward to 2025, yeah? The figures put forward by McKinsey Global Institute. The 34 trillion will move up to about 64 trillion. But importantly, the 12 trillion in D&D world will move to 30 trillion. Yeah? So we are talking about that by 2025, nearly half the total consumer spending would be in the D&D world for the first time in the history of mankind. Yeah? Is apart from the ancient civilization. I'm talking about the post-industrial revolution. So it's a 30 trillion opportunity. Look at it from another lens. Today we have 7 billion people in the world. Yeah? And the consuming class is just about a little over 2 billion people. When I say consuming class, it is people who have disposable income above $10 per capita per day on a purchasing power parity basis. Yeah? Now this 2 billion will become about 4 billion by 2025. So you're talking about 2 billion people coming into the consuming class in the D&D world, and the consumer spending going up from 12 trillion to 30 trillion. Yeah? It takes no rocket scientist to decipher that the world is being rebalanced very clearly. It's a huge opportunity in the D&D world. And we are fortunate that all of us are here today sitting in the D&D world, because this is where the growth is going to come from.
So the future is bright for your business and for a lot of the entrepreneurs that are here. Any advice to people out there who are as entrepreneurs? Any leadership advice from your side?
Is coming back to the fundamentals of business, I would say very clearly is be right on strategy. Very often we think that the vision and the mission statement of the business is the strategy. No. Strategy is all about hard choices. So be very clear about that. Second is understand your value chain. Yeah. Our job as entrepreneurs is to create value. Remember that. And value creation is when you create value for your consumers, and in the process you create value for yourself. If you don't create value for the consumer, but try to create value for yourself, then that is called as being a thief. Yeah? Now I'm talking about entrepreneurs. So creating value is one of our core tasks. Linked to that is understanding what capabilities you need to create value. Capabilities which have to be distinctive and a bit hard to replicate. Yeah? You need to understand in that business what capabilities you need. And once you have decided what capabilities you need, you could either develop it yourself or hire the skill. Yeah? But if you don't have that capability, you will struggle. The fourth very important bit is values. Yeah? In the long run, values are as important, if not more important, than your strategy. That would be the 4 pieces of advice I would give you.
Now, as we go into the final lap, in terms of your life, what are your life's learnings up to now? What are the 2 or 3 little nuggets you've had in your life which affect you today and that you'd like to share and inspire the audience here?
Yeah, in 2004, I went and spent a day with a gentleman called Narayan Murthy. Yeah. To those who may not know, Narayan Murthy is the founder of Infosys. And Infosys is the second largest IT company in the world. The Indian IT company, outsourcing company in terms of, now they have gone up the value chain. And this is a company which has a market capitalization of about $35 billion. So it's a very valuable property today. And this was a time when, in late last century, about 98, 99, the total turnover of Infosys was about $100 million. Yeah. And when I went in 2004, they were about $1 billion. And today they are about $6-7 billion in value. Yeah. So I had gone there to understand from Mr. Murthy is essentially what does it take to move from $100 million to $1 billion in a space of a few years. I was thinking I was doing a fabulous job of growing 20% in Bangladesh year on year with Unilever Bangladesh, and I went there to understand from him. So it was a very interesting day. He took me through his life, took me through his challenges, and very clearly one of the things which he talked about is breaking the barrier of your thinking. And invariably, we let our past dictate our future. Yeah. And that is when he was talking about that don't let your past dictate your future. And so that is something which has always been etched in my mind, is how do you break new barriers? How do you raise the bar every year? How do you don't limit yourself by the past? And while talking about limit yourself by the past, there is a very interesting story I would like to share with you. This is about, if you go to India, you will find huge elephants, which would weigh a few tons. And they have a rope around their neck, and they are tethered to a small stake in the ground. And you keep wondering, man, this giant few tons elephant, why doesn't it just shake and move on? And if you were to really understand this, the reason behind it, that when the elephant is very small, is the mahout ties the rope and ties it to the stake. And the elephant, and at that small age, he's not able to pull the stake. But elephant being elephant, even when he grows up, he still feels he can't remove it. Yeah? So don't be an elephant. Yeah? Keep raising your bar. That's one very important thing I would leave with you. The second important learning that I got is be a student. I'm still a student. Yeah. I learn every day. I learn not necessarily from my seniors, but very importantly, I learn from students, management trainees who join, from my juniors. Yeah. So you need to keep your ego at the doorstep when you enter your office. And you need to have humility to ask yourself, what are the things you don't know? Just because I'm a chairman of a board of a $2 billion corporation, I would be absolutely foolish to believe I know everything. Yeah? And I'm very clear in my mind that each of my board directors know more about their function than I do. Yeah? And that's the reason I picked them up. Is because they are bloody good in their functions. So be a learner. If you look at it, whether it's a corporation or an individual, is learning will be a source of sustained advantage for you. Yeah? The day you stop learning, you'll get fossilized. And what teaching does, what formal education does is, it makes us know how to learn and from where to learn. But be very clear that learning should not stop. Yeah? Be a continuous learner. And third important bit is, most of us are fortunate. Is we are in a place where we are much better than many other people in the world. Yeah? And I'm sure many of you budding entrepreneurs, when you succeed, you'll succeed big time. And while you stick to your values, yeah, you should always ask yourself, how can I make a difference to the context? Yeah. How can I make the world a better place? I would not be talking about the magnitude, but I would just leave you with this. Always ask yourself, how do I leave my footprints in the sand? How do I make this world a better place?
I'll ask a couple of questions. So, what is your philosophy on happiness? Because I know you have a very interesting tell us that.
You know, happiness is a very relative word. It really depends on a person to person. I have a partner, I wouldn't take his name, and he's a pretty senior guy and a very rich guy. And whenever he meets me, he tells me, I love money. Yeah. And money gives him happiness. Yeah. Now there are this kind of person. But the way I look at it is, you find happiness when there's a balance in your life. Balance between your extrinsic motivations and your intrinsic motivations. Your extrinsic motivations would be your success in your career. Yeah? Doing a job where you are better than your competitor, gaining market shares. growing consistently double digit, yeah, is getting a bigger job from a 2 billion to a 5 billion mix. Yeah, that's what is your extrinsic motivations. But your intrinsic motivations are much deeper. Is today, what do you mean by winning? Is not just the extrinsic part of winning, it is about seeing your team grow. Yeah? Seeing young managers blossoming, becoming big leaders, yeah? Developing talent, making a difference to the context. Is seeing your kids blossom, become worthy citizens of the world. Yeah? Your own spiritual journey. Now, those are your intrinsic motivations. And when you are able to balance it, I think that's what happiness is all about.
That's a great answer. Your lovely family is here. Sadly, one of your daughters isn't here yet. What role did your wife in particular and your daughters growing up play in your life? And how did it shape you to what you are today?
You don't want to spoil our weekend.
Mona actually put me to this question.
It's a huge role. I'll just give you one example. Is my wife, too, is a chartered accountant by trade. And academically, clearly she was much brighter. Her record was certainly much brighter than mine. And she was a corporate banker. And one particular, clearly a phase in her life, when we were both in Dubai in the 90s. Yeah, I was with Unilever, she was with HSBC. And I got this wonderful opportunity of becoming a board member of Unilever Bangladesh. And Unilever Bangladesh at that time was a business at crisis. It was losing, the growth was negative, yeah, margins were shoddy, the bottom line was in red, people were leaving the business, and we decided to go there. Knowing very well that it's a tough place, much tough place, and the kids were very small then, they were babies, 4-year-old, and from a monetary perspective, we would be cash negative because she would have had to give up a job. So despite me moving up the ladder, it would still be cash negative. And she encouraged me to pick up the job because very clearly where in your career you get a chance to turn around a business. So it was a very exciting potential step for me. Is fraught with a lot of risk because I knew if we are not able to turn around the business, my career will go down the way of Bengal with Unilever Bangladesh. And that was a big risk. And so she gave up her career so I could pursue my dreams. And our daughters, Roshni is here. We're twins, yeah. Roshni studies in Cornell and Mehta studies at MIT. She's coming tomorrow night. She'll be leaving Boston in another couple of hours. My biggest critics, yeah, are daughters. And we are blessed having them. It's a great set of values they exhibit. And, for a father, there's a very special bond between father and daughters. And it's a wonderful family I'm blessed with.
And my final question is that if you just imagine, if you just project yourself, say 25, 30 years from today, you're in your 80s, you're a doddery old man, you're grumpy, they can relate to that, sorry, actually. And and it's your birthday, and we have a whole group of people, the same group, to come and celebrate your birthday.
Yeah.
We're celebrating you and your birthday. In the next 20 generation ahead of you, you're still a young man. What is the legacy that you have built? What will we be saying in 30 years' time? Because you're at the pinnacle in your life at the moment.
Yeah.
What have you done the next 30 years?
It would be very difficult for me to articulate what my legacy would be. But I could really talk about what I would want to have a kind of a legacy is, in our own little way, one has made a difference to various people. When we sit in this crowd, hopefully then there will be someone who is a chairman of Unilever globally who could say that I, as a management trainee, had worked with you. Yeah? We could have people who would say that you made a difference to our lives. And hopefully, at some stage, I would like to go back to my home country and serve the government and improve the governance in my country.
Future Prime Minister.
Not the Prime Minister, not politically. I would be very happy taking ₹1 salary, but improving the governance standards in the country, which are clearly in need of significant improvement. Yeah.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, our business icon for this. A few quick questions before we.
Sure.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I know we're running late, but if you don't mind, this lady is extremely.
Like you generally ask all our guest of honors one question which you missed today.
Okay.
If there was to be one Bollywood hero to play your role, who would that be and who would be your co-actor?
We're making a Sanjiv Mehta movie. That's what she's asking.
Yeah.
So in your movie,
Yeah.
who would be playing you?
I would like to make a film out of Satyamedha. Yeah. And my co-star would be my wife, Mehta.
So we can say it now.
Okay, any other questions? Sir, please.
Coming back to the personal level, especially you had been in the crisis team of Unilever,
Union Carbide.
Union Carbide.
What is the single most important learning that you have carried with you and carrying still?
You know, every time I have my board meeting, the first item on the agenda is safety. Without exception. Yeah. We go through the safety statistics of the company. We go through the lead indicators. We go through the lag indicators. Yeah. We look at if any accidents or near misses have happened and what actions would be taken. You know, over the years, I would have signed hundreds of millions of dollars of capital expenditure proposal. And I go through them very carefully because it is committing money long term. But when it comes to a capital expenditure proposal for safety, I don't question it.
Okay, next question. Anyone else? Ma'am, please. Quick short question so we can get a timely answer. Everybody's hungry.
Hi Sanjiv, my question is regarding quality standards.
Yeah.
At Unilever, would you like to emphasize briefly what quality measures or quality procedures you follow?
Yeah. You know, quality is absolutely important for us if we have to retain the trust of our consumers. So it is quality not just in the manufacturing process, which is very clearly laid down and evaluated, but we have gone up to what we call as consumer relevant quality standards. Yeah? So the quality on the shelf is evaluated by a third party, and then we get the feedback. And then we have the care lines, consumer hotlines, yeah? And we get the feedback, and we as a board evaluate the care line comments that we get, as well as the consumer relevant quality standard indicators.
Do you guys conduct consumer satisfaction surveys?
We do immensely, yeah. We look at it from a, you know, when we go and look at a brand health, yeah, we look at something like a brand conviction score that a consumer would keep buying our brand and preferred over other brands. And that happens only when he's satisfied with the quality of our products. Otherwise, they'll never buy. We get to know it very quickly. So for us, retaining the trust of our consumers is of paramount importance.
I think we're all running very late. Last
Can I have
two
a
questions.
question, please?
Okay, well, this gentleman is
Yeah.
jumping. Yeah, please.
And
We
the
will have an
one with the-
opportunity over
Last
there.
two, last two.
Okay, last two. After you, sir. And then
Thank
please.
you, Mr. Sanjiv. My question to you is, which product out of the P&G portfolio you would have loved to have it in Unilever?
Very good.
That's a tricky question. Very tricky question. Let me tell you, it's, we love our competitors for the simple reason that they make us be on our toes all the time. And I have a lot of respect for P&G. They are a very worthy competitor. It's a great company. And the product which I would love to have in my portfolio is Gillette.
I use it every day.
Also importantly, why Gillette razor? It's because we don't have a competing
Exactly.
brand. No, but that's a great product. That's a great product. I have, tried different brands, but invariably I veer towards Gillette.
So you use it, Gillette.
I use it. I have no hesitation in saying that, and I'm sure if you scratch a P&G person, there will be many Unilever brands. Sorry, there was that gentleman over there.
Good evening, Sanjiv.
Yeah.
Since your company touches billions of people on an everyday basis, I'm sure in times of inflation, your products must be facing some inflationary pressures. So, what are the different steps how you encounter such inflationary pressures on your brand? Is this